the present, today. In the present, you're going to see in the background, in the foreground, in the middle ground, you're going to see different speeches and different, let's say, languages and different speeches being spoken, but all in picture form. So we're going to slowly dissect the present, because you need to see what you're seeing physically in front of you was predicted, was written, was stuck in the blueprint almost 200 years ago or more. And thus, it cannot be a prediction. It is a plan. It is an exercise. So, in the front of the picture, we're going to start in the front of the picture. And then we're going to go to the back of the picture, and then to the middle of the picture, and then we conclude the whole picture. So in the front of the picture, which is present, so what they foresaw, what they saw coming in the future back then, but how they were going to work with it and change it. So in the present, back then, they saw that something will happen. So in this picture, onto your left, you see a woman who looks like a red Indian. A red Indian, not an Asian Indian, a red Indian. She's holding a hammer, like Thor, you know, the superhero. But then she's holding a pink rose. This is to symbolize motherhood, nurture, nature, peacefulness, calmness, and beauty, all exhuming from this one woman. At the same time, she's wearing a golden armor, protective armor, and holding a golden hammer. Not only is this woman everything that I told you she is also fierce, strong, a protector, a fighter, a warrior. In the middle, no, we'll come to the middle later. On the right is a man. It's clear to see the artist wants you to know it's a black man. He's strong, he's bulgy, he is massive, and he's not wearing any protective gear, but he's holding a hammer as if his muscles were enough to protect him from anything, as if he is the Hulk, as if his skin, his body is impenetrable. You can tell he's a specimen of a man. Again, although the artist gives you the clear depiction that this is a black man with the haircut, with the hairstyle, with the skin color, the artist also wants to give you the impression again that this is a golden colored man. But you see, gold stands for purity. So we're talking about pure people here. We're talking about pure people here. Pure in mind, pure in spirit, pure in heart, pure in actions, pure in everything they do and say and act. He is also a warrior. He stands there patiently, calm. Now, let's go behind these two. So we're going to go back to the woman again. Behind the woman is a big wheel, what looks like a big Ferris wheel. This big Ferris wheel has what you will call a cam belt. And that cam belt is attached to a smaller wheel. Which is then placed upon a slightly larger than the smaller wheel. Again, this is made of gold. Behind the man on the right hand side is the same exact repetition. These two belts on the opposite side, or these two big wheels on the opposite side, are driving the two smaller wheels beneath them, which are then being used to drive the two medium-sized wheels on the ground. But what for? In the middle, on the table, you will see a clock. And it is right to assume that this clock, its mechanism, relies on these wheels turning on both sides. But what are they? What does each side represent? And what is the purpose of each side? But again, time is gold. Everything is gold. This is pure time. They are saying that they know in the future the real time is going to be revealed. But how? By whom? Okay. Now, behind this clock, so now understand that the two protectors, the man and the woman who's on the left and the man who's on the right, these two are stood outside of a premises. And they are protecting something. That thing is time. They are protecting something. That thing is time. They themselves do not have access to this time. If you look carefully, going from the table which holds the clock, you will see the artist tells you there is a glass. There is a glass, let's say a glass encasing. And it is behind the glass encasing which holds this clock. So they are on the outside to make sure that no one goes past them to reach the protected time. So that's the first layer, which is man and woman. Second layer, the wheel of time. Now we're on the third layer. There is a man. He is naked. Again, he is gold, symbolizing purity again. But the artist makes it clear that this is a black man. The artist makes it clear that this is a black man. If you study his face carefully, you're going to notice that the archway of this black man's eyebrows and forehead and nose, the artist blatantly wants you to see what's hidden within this man. And it is, you could call it, the flying phoenix, an eagle. And this is impressed into his face, detailed in, for those who know. Because this guy has eagle vision. Because to be where time is kept, and to be the only one who has access to time, something different has to be who you are. When you look carefully, the artist also wants you to realize that this man has a condition. You could say present condition is vitiligo, where patches of his skin are different colors. But that is not the meaning, because vitiligo is not a condition. Vitiligo is not a condition. That's the truth. Vitiligo is actually nature telling you that we are one. That, listen, you're not black and you're not white. If you're displaying black, the white is inside. If you're displaying white, the black is inside. We're one. So this person on the racial front represents something good for both races. He has his left hand rested on the clock, his right hand on his lips, as if figuring out what to do. One can only make the assumption that you can change the time. He is the time changer. You can let the time stay as it is. But if you decided to change the time, should it go to the left or to the right? This is very significant. When we now go behind the time changer on a blue platform, now we are at the fourth stage, on the fourth platform. And what is there? Behind the woman on the left, behind the wheel, behind the man on the left hand side, you can see what looks like workmen. So this will represent the workforce, the taxpayers, the citizens. Remember, the woman represents peace, love, kindness, gentleness. And you will find all that in our citizens of the world. But you will also find within them warriors, fighters. When the time needs be, who stand up and fight. On the right hand side, behind the man, behind the wheel, behind the naked man, on the right hand side, you will see that unlike behind the woman, where the citizens look angry and tired, frustrated and unorganized, but heading one direction, to the left. On the right hand side, behind the strong, muscly, tough-faced men with, there's nothing to show that he has heart. There's everything to show that he's a man of work. He's a man of job. He's been told, this is what you need to protect, and under no circumstances is he going to let anyone stop him. Behind him is a fashion orderly of petticoat. Petticoat. Dressed gentleman. This, at the time, was the preferred dressing, and still is at the present, of the governance system, the politics system, the wealthy. So, a time has come. Time will change, or time has to change. But time will either go left or right. If it goes left, the wealthy lose. It goes to the many. If it goes right, the wealthy win. The few take it all. Behind that, on the fifth platform, is the waters. The waters. If you look behind the woman on the waters, the ship, you can tell its trajectory is to the right because the smoke is blowing behind it. Behind the man on your right, the ship, its trajectory, it's blowing to the right, meaning, the smoke is blowing to the right, meaning the ship's trajectory is heading to the left. This is a clash of ideals. This is a clash of faiths. This is a clash of beliefs. This is a clash of economic powers between the wealthy and the many. Where it's either the wealthy take it all and the many die, or the many reclaim what is theirs, share it accordingly, so everyone gets a piece. On the sixth platform, on the archway bridges, you can see the same thing. Industrialization. The chimneys are blowing. Behind the woman, to the left. Behind the man, to the right. It means, is industrialization either going to benefit only the rich and deprive the poor, or is industrialization going to be harnessed by nations for the embetterment of the many rather than the embetterment of the few? If it goes to the left where the woman is stood, the many will be saved. The many will enjoy freedom and justice. The many will enjoy a democratic living standard and human rights and everything. Job rights, wage rights, everything. But not as a unit, as individual units, based on cultural grounds, based on beliefs, based on this, based on freedom and justice, based on individualistic freedom. The many will be wealthy. But if in the present, as everything stands, the many allow the rich, who under all circumstances lockdowns or no lockdowns, find ways to operate businesses to keep afloat. If the many allow these controlled measures to dominate and ruin their lives, eventually the wealthy will win. The many will find themselves enslaved under the wealthy. If you look carefully in the petticoats, the artist clearly makes you aware that majority of the petticoats are white. There are some blacks in there. He brings them forward so you can see that. You could say Judas, but this is not to say that I'm against unity between black and white people. I'm showing you the blueprints of the wealthy and rich and how they plan on stealing time and power from the many. I'm putting a spotlight on the present. So what happens if the poor, if the needy, if the weak? What happens if the vulnerable? What happens if this time changer joins the left? If this time changer's mind goes to the left, it means time has been bought for the many to straighten out their affairs and balance out the economical structure that's keeping them down. If this individual who understands time and the use of time decides to go to the right, it means the wealthy and the rich and the very few, the 1% of the world's population, will own the industrialization power of the world. Thus, they will hold on to our governments. It means we would have created semi-demigods on this earth. People who have the right to do as they will. As Jay-Z rightly pointed out, do as thou wishes. Because when you get to a certain level of wealth, even the police don't take reports with your name in it. And if this individual who understands time allows time to go to the right, then these two protectors have no choice but to keep the many out and do it for the very few. But if he chooses to go to the left and do it for the many, then he buys time for the many. What happens if the poor and the many lose? Picture number 3.